What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. It's been a long time coming. We've made some major changes to this series. In the last time that I put up a video, I've kind of decided to go a different route. So I'm going to talk you through it right now. It's a little bit complicated, but if you stick through, it will make sense. And I'll kind of explain my plan for the second phase of this cut. So I'm doing a new program right now. Both are GZCL programs by Cody Lefevre. I've combined the Rippler, which is a powerlifting kind of peaking program, with Jackson Tan, which is more of a bulking and size gaining program. I've taken the T3 movements from there, and I'm using the T1 and T2 from the Rippler to kind of combine into what I think is the perfect program for me as I do this cut. So we're starting the day off with deadlifts today. This is going to be a back and legs workout, mainly focused on back, so overall more back volume. I'm going to just kind of take you through it. So we're warming up here. We've got top sets. So with these warm-up sets, deadlift, I'm just getting used to acclimation to the weight now. With the kilos, I'm kind of taking bigger jumps. Weights are going to be a little bit different than what you'd normally see here. So these are all beltless, essentially, just to kind of get that extra work in. And then eventually, as I ramp up to the heavier and heavier sets, you'll begin to see me utilize the belt. So you notice things are starting to slow down now. That was about 425 here. So we are now approaching our heavier and heavier sets. I did switch up the camera. I am using my 50mm 1.8, so you will get better quality, better separation. And as of right now, I'm just trying to find the angles in the gym. So we're working up here to our heavier sets. So my working sets are going to be 496. And according to the video, I did 4 sets total of that. So you're going to see here with this cut, losing size, we're losing strength to a degree, but I'm doing my best to kind of mitigate that as we go through with this. So I wanted to talk about the title of this video, Hell Week. So essentially, Hell Week is what I call the reintroduction of volume post deload of this program. So on the deload, we're significantly cutting down volume by almost, I'd say, 75% of what I normally do. And so coming back to this, it's usually hell on earth, because as we ramp up back to these sets, the soreness is just absolutely ridiculous. But this is what's driving both the growth and the extra wet work is contributing to total calories burned. So you'll see here, I'm taking my time on all these sets. The goal here is to try to maintain strength. I'm actually trying to do a thing where I'm trying to peak strength, kind of get stronger as I'm cutting. Just trying to be smarter with what I'm doing. Watching the diet, watching the calories, and making sure that we're moving in a direction that will be beneficial in the future. You know, as much muscle mass as you can maintain, the better overall composition you're going to have, and the more calories you're going to burn in this cut. So this is set 3 here. Like I said, taking my time, about 5 minutes between rest sets, and you're going to see I'm slowly beginning to slow down here. Body's starting to take a beating, but I am just trying to do what I can to drive through. And not a nice letdown there, but I was kind of in the moment there. But you're gonna see in this next set, I think I only get the single, but I decided to cut it just based off of how I was feeling. It's supposed to be another double, but for the sake of the workout and how I was approaching the week, I decided to just go for the single. I mean, I had already done the work, so that's there. And then we're gonna move on to accessories after that. So setup is pretty the same. But you're going to notice that significant decrease in speed and lockout. And so there I was just like, you know what, that's just it's not worth it. Let's recover. We'll come back. We got other stuff to do anyway. So next working sets are going to be with front squats, which is something that I've always struggled with squatting. So this would be your T2 on the Rippler. So again, warm up like you normally would. I'm trying to do my best to stay upright as possible. After these deadlifts, though, my core is honestly so taxed to the point where I've got to make a conscious effort to be able to maintain that. So I'll definitely use the belt on these heavier sets, just to kind of allow me to focus on just keeping the back upright, and also my core was fried from those beltless deadlifts. But yeah, here we go. This is significantly better than what I normally do, though. Usually I'm a lot more forward leaning. So we are definitely working towards improving movement patterns, improving form, and just overall getting better with what I'm doing right now, though. So as we're in this caloric deficit, every day is kind of a toss-up of how I'm feeling. Some days are good, some days are bad, but as we overall increase the volume and as we work our way through this this new program and training style that I'm doing. And we're just going to have to navigate the waters as they come up. But these working sets, again, it's rep work spread out over, so it's not one dense compact set. So I am able to practice in the form, which I think is the most important aspect. So this set's probably the best my front squats have ever looked. I am making changes right now though to how I am moving the bar, both front and back squats. So you'll see as we go through this week when we do reach squats, kind of similar mechanic. It's just the bar in a different placement is going to kind of reveal weaknesses that I have in each department. So this is an AMRAP. I believe I do 5 sets total, so this was after 3 sets of 4. But you'll see here in this angle, yeah, like the way that my chest comes forward, it's how my anatomy is built, unfortunately, and just how densely compact I am there. And as we get leaner, I'm hoping that this changes and allows me to be more efficient at what I'm doing. But all I can do now is just kind of stick with the program. As long as I'm making progress, it's really all I care about. So after this, we're going to move on to our pen lay rows, which is the one lift that's never ever failed me. It's pure power. It's 290, again, for sets of 4, and then another AMRAP. So again, this is T2 based off of the Rippler. And then we're going to transition over to the T3s of the Jack and Tan 2.0, and that's just, I feel like I need to train in multiple rep ranges for conditioning aspect as I'm getting leaner. And then also just to experiment and see what the hypertrophy benefit is. Majority of my lifting career, it's always been heavy, and it wears down on your body, and sometimes a good hypertrophy set is just a good way to recover. So my T3 is a pen lay row, so it technically is a compound movement, but the rep range I'm aiming for is a little bit higher than what I would hit on the other sets. So this is a set of 10, and then we're going to do back off sets of 8. So basically the program is you're supposed to do back off AMRAP sets off of that additional set, and then essentially what you're supposed to do is kind of taper back 1 to 2 reps away from failure. So that's the goal here. And my other T3 is a single leg press, and this is just something that I found that kind of helps imbalances with my right knee that I for some reason it's messed up from some sort of, I don't know, accident I may have had or accumulation. So this is just a mechanism to kind of mitigate that. It hasn't affected my squatting or anything, but I do feel that shift though when I am squatting. Then I am supersetting this with calf raises. So this is 350 on there, and then I'll just do whatever that is calf raise wise for about 20 reps. I'm just trying to see if they'll grow. Obviously you can see the differentiation between the upper thigh and the lower leg, and it's kind of ridiculous to a point, but my upper legs are so big, my whole body as a general is a lot bigger, but it just makes my calves look small, and genetically it's something I've never been gifted with. So I'm just trying to experiment and see what's going to happen, and who knows, maybe they'll grow. We're going to focus on a lot of reps just to take a look. So we're going to move on here to cable preacher curls, and this is probably one of my favorite just to kind of build the bicep. Again, I like to include as many T3s as I can, honestly, in these sets that I'm doing. You're seeing a fraction of the total work done. I'm doing about 2 main movements and then 7 to 8 T3 movements, and that's just because I love the aspect of that. So this is day 2 here. This is going to be our chest and shoulder focus. So we're going to start off with bench press. T2 obviously is going to be the overhead press, and then just various chest accessories. So starting off on bench here, of course, this will be our T1. So again, this is the Rippler, and we're ramping up here. So I'm 165. I'm using the 2.5 kg collars on the sides there. So that's why that weight is a little bit different than what you normally see. And we're just going to ramp up and warm up, and you can see the weight's moving pretty well here. I'm focusing on form now, trying to stay tight, keeping that upper back in place, and then driving from the legs all the way up through the chest to then finish that lift. So definitely something I need to work on, and it's definitely something that's habitual, and you just have to keep pounding until you're able to do it without even thinking about it. So you'll see here everything has got to pause. With these presses, I always recommend pausing. One, to control the momentum of the lift, but also to get that extra little bit of hypertrophy in the moment. With you holding onto that weight in that isometric hold, you're gonna that little maybe 1 or 2% activation in the pec area and shoulders and triceps is just gonna overall lead to more growth in the long term. And you know, if you compound that with as many times as you're doing these exercises, the payoff is going to be big in the long run. So That's my recommendation to that. Touch and go, I mean, you can kind of fall out of alignment and then you're less efficient, in my opinion. Obviously, it makes the weight a little bit easier, but I'm not about throwing up the most weight possible. I'm about moving the most weight possible in the safest way that I can, for longevity's sake. So we're moving on here. These sets, you'll start to notice that they will begin to kind of ramp down in my speed. So the pause definitely will reinforce that technique, but also you'll notice each rep is consecutively less speedy than the last, just from that fatigue aspect. So we're still moving up to our top set. So top sets are 300. I'm doing, again, doubles with these. So again, the Rippler. So this is the week of doubles, obviously, and this is week 6, so this is after the first deload. And there's a shot nobody needed to see, but we're moving on here. And move pretty well. Doubles I'm pretty good with. It's just the rep work with pause work at the heavier percentages that I tend to have issues with. So I'm mixing around angles so you can kind of see what's happening here. And yeah, you'll see there kind of a stutter. I lost tightness there. And then you'll actually physically see the leg drive that kind of finishes that lift. So you'll see which each subsequent set I tend to adjust something to make it more efficient depending on what I saw in the last few clips. So we're going to change some angles here. So we're back to this guy here. And you'll notice a lot more efficient than the last set. And just trying to be consistent with that. So again, learn from your sets, record your stuff, know what's happening, and then make adjustments based off of that. And then this final angle here is probably one of my favorites. This is just a way for you to see the shoulder and kind of see the movement on the upper back of mass. And you'll see I was able to stay a lot tighter, so you're seeing a lot efficient pressing. This is the last set. So compared 2 to 4, this is probably one of the better looking sets of this exercise. So again, adjust, adapt. If you don't have someone to watch you, you don't have a coach in person, you got to function as your own. So now we're moving on to OHPs, and this is our working set, our first one. So this is sets of 4 with 175, and I kind of skipped the warm-up because they're kind of redundant. And I mean, these sets aren't very interesting. Angle's a little weird here as I'm trying to find the appropriate angle for this series here. And ultimately, it's just going through the motions of here. I mean, this is just to kind of reinforce technique and get overall OHP volume. So this is an AMRAP, and I believe I get 5 here. So the goal is always to, I would say, beat the AMRAP by 1 or 2. Obviously, a true AMRAP is until you have physically nothing left, though. But the way that we're training, we want to stay again, 1 or 2 reps away from failure, just for longevity aspects and recovery. So you're going to see some more T3s here. This is my incline dumbbell press, so I'll do a dumbbell press depending on the day that addresses the muscle group I'm working out. So on a shoulder day, I'll do a shoulder press. On a chest day, I'll do the incline. So again, you're going to see pauses here, and again, this is to practice technique, maintain that isometric hold, and also just to press in a straight line as possible. Keep everything nice and tight. And you're going to see I'm kind of twisting the dumbbells out, and that's just a way to kind of engage at the pec motor. So with the incline, I know a lot of people tend to struggle with the upper chest. I won't know until I'm cut down though, so we'll see. And then T3 for the shoulder aspect. We're going to do Arnold presses, lighter 10 reps here. And this is just, again, for shoulder mobility, to kind of keep the shoulder moving and to kind of hit all heads of the shoulder, your lateral, medial, and rear delt. And I like this movement just for the fact that you have to move kind of through this movement and keep everything nice and tight. So do a couple sets of that, and we're going to move on to other shoulder stuff. So most of the hard work is done, and then this is just kind of the cherry on the sundae to top it all off. And yeah, I will use the wrist wrap just to kind of help allow me to focus more on form. So lateral raises, threw on the sweater here. It's kind of cold in the gym. But again, to keep these lighter, definitely an exercise I do like the contraction, and it helps me practice keeping my scapula retract and shoulders tight. So definitely an exercise I would recommend. Seated, standing, whatever works for you. Just vary it up. That's what I do. Keep it interesting. Hit it from different angles. So this is the end of the video here. So keep following. These are my stats, and then we'll see what happens at the end. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.